Truck Talk Media.
Bonus episode, a little reunion recap. I wasn't able to do an actual pod like I normally would from a show coverage perspective. Sat down with Sammy C and going to just recap the reunion, the 2022 reunion in Chandler, Arizona. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking it out. We'll be back probably next week with a new pod. Peace.
Let me tell you what Melba Toast is packing right here, all right? We got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man is a television repairman. Got the ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth clapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Wedge.
All right. How about a little reunion recap? I got my boy Sammy C in the house, and it's just a few days following the reunion, the first reunion here in downtown Chandler. We did it, Sammy. I don't know, man. It was an absolute, it's something where you guys out there, you've been to plenty of shows. Some of you guys are throwing shows. You're throwing Christmas parties. We don't know. You know, whatever you're doing, you understand that it's a ton of work. We did it. We got through it. We worked through with the city. Everything came together. And sure, we'd like to thank you and me and my wife, but if it wasn't for the great people of the C10 community and the truck community, man, it just doesn't work the way it did, and we did it.
Yeah. I mean, it seems a lot easier, you know, when you're sitting there thinking about throwing a show in spring than it actually was. I cracked a couple of jokes to people that if I'd have known now, if I'd have known then
you told me that a few times.
Been like, you know what? No, let's, you know, now that it's over, you just get to just process how much fun it is and all the great things and all the compliments people gave that it's real rewarding.
For me, you know, it's crazy for the audience to know, like when you guys go to shows, like I'm a guy who I love going to the shows. I love contributing with the, you know, let's just say the podcast and checking out people's trucks. And then obviously the stories. The biggest thing for me that I had to kind of look back and reflect on was so humbling and the gratification to provide a show or an event for people in the community and how thankful they are. And I do not take it for granted at all that people are spending their money on fuel to get here. They're working their asses off to get their trucks done. They want to bring it out to an awesome show, to an awesome event. They're getting hotels. And some of them are bringing their family. Some of them are taking time away from their family. So I look at that whole thing, that whole picture, and the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the community that we're able to bring together. And then you sit back and you're like, wow, this is it's heavy. It's a different thing that I haven't really felt before.
It's really heavy. What hit me really, really hard is the fact that these people had faith in us. I mean, they pre-registered, they bought plane tickets, they booked hotel rooms, they drove hundreds of miles, not even knowing what to expect. I rarely go to car shows that I don't know what I'm going to expect. I haven't been to the venue before, or I haven't seen the types of trucks that are going to be there. To do that means that they did that because they had faith in us. And that right there is humbling. You can get emotional on that. The other thing is I expected to be thanked. I mean, I don't want to use the word expected, but it was going so well. I expected people to be like, man, great job, guys. Awesome. And we got tons of that. But you know what I didn't expect? How many people actually thanked us for putting on the show. I didn't even know how to respond. I didn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah,
I didn't know how to respond to that. What do you mean?
You're like, no, thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you think?
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, like I have never been like. Now I almost feel like I've never thanked somebody for putting on a badass car show before. I've thanked them saying it's an awesome show, but that was crazy, and it happens so many times. I had to get used to it. Like I had to figure out, what they meant by that, and I still don't know what they mean by that. Is it the community? Is it creating an opportunity for all of us guys to get together, and girls and families, and is it an opportunity for them to show off their truck in a good environment? The parking garage. I don't know.
Well, and the vibe was so just, we had the DJs, we had amazing volunteers that we could have never done it without. They're all wearing these funky, fresh, these like turquoise retro rad shirts. Obviously my wife had a big hand in all that funness. But when you take that and you're like, is this a truck show or is this a fun event where there's trucks there and people are just having that breaking bread, that relationship, and just really bringing it together? And that's something that we've said a long time is, these shows, hence the reunion. It's like, hey, these shows are the class reunion of all the friends that you haven't seen and you want to see, and the family reunion of at least the cool uncles and the cool aunts and maybe a few cousins that you got ornery with when you're a kid, and you're like, oh, what's going on? You haven't seen each other in a while, maybe since the last show. Could have been 2 weeks ago, could be 2 years ago.
That's what's crazy about the truck community and the truck shows is really every time we go to a show, it feels like it's a reunion. And that's what you and I talked about originally when we were coming up with this crazy plan. It could be 2 weeks, it could be months. In this case, almost felt like 2 years that I've seen some people, but that's it. When we get together, it feels like a class reunion. It feels like a family reunion. And I think we did a pretty decent job at capturing that in our show.
Well, you got to see everybody. You were the gatekeeper, if you will. A lot of trucks came through. So for the audience, for those that came out, we'd love your feedback. You can, I'd say, hit info@reuniontruckshow.com, info@reuniontruckshow.com. I do know Autumn, my wife, she's going to put out an email to everybody that registered. So you'll get an email. And I think we're looking for some feedback, some good stuff, and maybe some constructive stuff. But for the audience that didn't make it out, what we did is we kind of had you got a ticket, you got a stub, kind of a parking pass. You came in, and then at that point we said, hey, you're going in the garage, you're going to the grass. And then Sam got to see a lot of those people. And it was moving very fast. I think, again, going back to our volunteers and the people in the parking garage to get everybody parked. Everybody got 2 spots. I think some people were like, oh shit, I get 2 spots. They might not realize that. And it's like, no, we're going to get you 2 spots up there. So get in.
I think what I was able to bring to that by running that front gate was I've never run a front gate to a car show, but I've always been in a line for a truck show. And that line, in some ways, it's fun to see this big line because you want to make sure that, everybody, it's like going outside of a nightclub. You want a line out there to make sure it's like the place is going to be popping. But at the same time, I'm sensitive. I'm sensitive to trucks getting hot. I'm sensitive to guys getting impatient. So I know they want to see that line move. And I was able to bring that to that front gate. I set it up to where we're going to move them as fast as we possibly can. And I think we did a good job at that. But there was some other areas that, lack of experience going forward. I think I can do a better job. I mean, I may have been called a dick once or twice, but it's a tough job. Sometimes
you're talking
you got to tell someone that, hey, you didn't register. I mean, I'm going to do everything I can to get you in, but you're going to have to back this thing up. But so outside of that, there's a couple of things we could, I'll learn. Oh, and we made it feel like it was okay for them to move from the parking garage to the grass, but that wasn't the case. So now I'm yelling at guys and telling them to back their trucks up when they're trying to drive them to the grass. So we had a couple of things like that I'm gonna try to figure out what could be done better.
So it's funny because we really haven't talked about, I mean, you and I have talked about it a little bit, but So we're sitting in a meeting January 6th, 2022. That was our first, our main meeting with the city, and there's way more people in this boardroom than I would have thought. I'm going to say 12 to 14 people, from the fire department to the police department to the permitting, to all these people are going to just fire questions at Sam and I. One of the things that the event coordinator, kind of the head person through the city, she's like, "You're not going to be able to drive these trucks around." And I think Sam and I were like, "Okay, whatever," she
We've
said.
never been to a truck show
Yeah.
before. We
Yeah.
don't stay still.
And I'm like, "No, people are going to move." Well, then after the show, that's actually a big thing that we don't want. And she was right. And we were, at least in our minds, I was wrong, because in my mind, I'm like, if people want to move, they can move. Well, what we did in the parking garage, it was just so, people loved it. I mean, people loved it because they could just walk freely, and they're just walking, looking at trucks. So you just didn't want, it was funny at certain points. I'm like, listen, we don't want people cruising for more than one reason: safety and exhaust fumes. And it just allowed people, because there really isn't any moving parts. Now, granted, some people were like, "Hey, I got to leave. I was able to come from 7 to 1. I got to get out of here." Okay, cool. I could see where you almost need like flaggers from Home Depot, but people were really cognizant of it.
Yeah, you could. It's definitely going to be one of those things where once you park them, people can leave, but you can't have people driving up and down, because there's way more pedestrians walking up that garage and looking at all the trucks, and that becomes pretty dangerous. That plus, I wasn't a big fan of some little ones riding scooters up and down the ramp. Would I have done that at that age? Oh, hell yeah. But one of those scooters gets one of those kids lets go of those scooters, and that thing goes into a truck or something. That's not going to be fun. So I would have, if I would have known, I would have been like, "Hey, nothing with wheels."
Yeah.
No
And
bikes,
maybe
no
a golf
scooters.
cart or two. So set the stage. Friday. I'm gonna, my hat's off to Mike, Poise Hipster.
Wow.
He killed it. We kind of got him involved from the beginning, because he is and has become Grinder's, maybe not right-hand man, because Grinder loves Frank so much, but he's his left-hand man. And Mike does a great job. He's all over the valley in Phoenix. And so we hit him up a few times, like, "Hey, help us make some videos." So he's all in. Well, then he loves golf. So he's like, "I'm going to come up with some golf thing on Friday, the day before." And we're like, "All right, cool, whatever, dude." And then next thing you know, we get this like long drives, dope rides, and it's this cool little logo. And he is just jacked up.
And when you see something like that, you're like, "Yeah, that seems like that seems like a long shot." Long drives, dope rides, long shot. How many truck guys are going to show up on a Friday to go golfing? Yeah, go for it, dude.
He pulled it off. What are you
talking about? I tried to register; they were sold out.
It was, oh my God. So then, so I go down there Friday, 7:00. I think it was a little earlier than that. And then everybody, they're gonna, I guess, tee off at 7. Might have been 7:30. But I pull up to this golf course at South Chandler, and there's like 6 laid out trucks, vehicles, Suburbans, Blazers on the golf course, and they're so excited about it. Like the golf course is excited that they've got trucks laid out on the golf course, and these guys are all dressed up. They're having so much fun. I talked to Mike after. Maybe I'll reach out to him and just kind of get a little 5-minute from him. But he was like, "Dude, they gave me like a standing ovation, all these guys." So he put it together. He loves golf. He loves trucks. He loves the people. And he did it. So yeah, my hat is off to him and what he was able to accomplish on Friday, and then turn it into a huge fun weekend for him, his family, and just the car culture, the truck culture that we have and that we embrace.
Yeah, it definitely made it. Just helped round out such an amazing weekend. When you've got a golf tournament on Friday morning, we had. Oh, what about the great party we had Friday night at the courthouse? That's a fun, tiny little story where the great news was we wanted to do this event downtown Chandler so people could go to breweries, and have a great night without having to drive anywhere. But what happened? We go to these breweries and we're like, hey, we're going to have maybe 100 or so guys on Friday night. And they're like, yeah, it's Friday night. We're packed. So I don't know where you want us to put these cars. I mean, these guys, etc. So it's like, ooh, this may be a problem. And then Ronnie sends me this video of this awesome little brewery right off of the main drag, and it's got this, it's like an open area outdoor, and he goes, look, we could park trucks over here and whatever, and I'm like, I'm down. And what'd you do? You talked to the owner. Turned out the owner, the dad, it was a father-son thing, right?
Yeah, just a lucky thing, and you just gotta love how sometimes shit just comes together. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of hard work in there, but I probably knocked down 8 doors of different restaurants that are on the other side of the main drag. And they're like, dude, listen, we're packed, we're just busy, and we've got short staff, this, whatever. So then I'm at the parking garage working on banner hang up setups or something, and I'm thinking, dude, I need to go down to Circle K and get a Gatorade or something. And I go by the courthouse, and I know this building because this whole area is kind of where I'm a firefighter.
And by the way, that's court as in Quart.
Yeah, and house as an Haus, like right. German Haus. So this old building, well, they have some property. Well, the one thing that the second I drove by there, and I kind of forgot about it because, again, it's on the same side as the truck show, but most of the restaurants and the bars and stuff are on the other side, which is going to be the west side of the main drag. Anyway, John Oro said to me, he's like, hey, just kind of let it happen. It'll happen. Guys are going to want to be by their trucks. And that was the comment that I was like, what am I thinking? I'm not going to get one of these other bars because the parking is an issue. So guys are going to want to be by their trucks and showcase their trucks. And trucks is why we're together. So as I drive by this courthouse, which, for the audience, you could see the pictures. I'll post them up, but let's just say it's like an acre. Well, and it's probably not even that big, but we were able to fit 6 to 10 trucks in there, probably right about 8 to 9 in this venue with these cool lights and this grass and this bar. And they got 25 beers.
Band.
Yeah. And they had a band. So dude, that guy at this point, the guy's like, can we do this every month?
Oh, yeah, I walk over there. The bar's 6 people deep. They ran out of food. So I think that was a hit. And that was really something that was put together last minute. So that was fun. That was just one of those other fun little things. So we have the golf tournament in the morning. We've got this awesome Friday night party. We're up early Saturday morning, and trucks are lined up. What is that? Maybe a mile from from some of the videos I've seen. It was pretty long. Yeah. And we've got, and now you've got the reunion, which 30 something vendors. DJ, how many food trucks do we have?
I think we had 6 plus there's she had the burritos. And now there was a little bit of a snafu. The burritos was the greatest idea, right? Let's pre-order burritos. So we got this company, just Betsy's Burritos. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was supposed to be like 360 Kitchen, but so she was on the other side, and her trailer said mac and cheese, but her truck said 360. And so we're going to definitely do a little bit better job of getting the word out on that.
The idea was awesome, though. So we've got, either way, eventually a burrito got to me at the right time before I died. And I don't know how it got to me, but
that's because Sam didn't sleep the night before. And
I did not sleep. And that's one of those little secret stories that, you realize in the middle of the night that all those vendors that dropped their tents and some of their stuff off, they didn't seem to be worried. It's a public park. They didn't seem to be worried. And I figured it out in the middle of the night. The reason why they were not worried is because they trusted us. They trusted us. They didn't trust my security guy. They trusted us. So I thought, I can't sleep. I got to get up. I got to get out there. And because I'm going to make sure that nothing walks off in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and we did have security. We had 2 security, an off-duty officer, and then a private security, and it worked out great. But Yeah, it's funny. I'm supposed to be there, like, okay, 6. So if I'm supposed to be there at 6 and I'm thinking 5:45, get up at 5:20, takes me, 10 minutes to get there. Sam's texting at like 5:15. Park looks good, relief security, everything's good. I'm thinking, I told my wife, I'm like, what the hell? And she's like, I don't think he slept a wink.
Not a wink, not a wink. Maybe it's because, which to come to find out, nothing. It was awesome. The security, they just was like, hey, this park is real quiet, no incidents. We did have amazing security, turns out. It's just more of that, I don't have a lot of faith in systems. Sometimes you just got to do it yourself, just make sure it gets done right. But maybe I was a little spooked when those kids were the night before.
Oh my God. That
11 o'clock at night on a Friday when we're hanging banners and some kids sneak up at the top of the garage and throw one of the banners off.
We're on the golf cart. We're rolling up. We're winding up, corkscrewing up to the top deck because we got to wrap up some banner hanging. And we've got these huge banners and we've got like these old fence poles that I've, taken from the yard and my scrap pile. And all of a sudden we hear Johnny, myself, Sam are all on the golf cart cruising up and we hear a ka-dink, 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 like, you're like, what was that? And we look down thinking like we had run over something. Well, there's nothing there. So we stop. Sam, at that point, we're on the 3rd or 4th floor. Sam looks over the north side of the parking garage and there is some of these poles that we've kind of constructed to handle these banners. And we're like, hey, so that was kind of a funny moment in that we all split up real fast. Sam,
no. Here's what's
stairwell. Donnie, you take the west stairwell.
Oh yeah. We're 50-year-old men, right? But all of a sudden, at that point, we were 17 again. I'm jumping off the golf cart. You're peeling out of the golf cart because you're going to go the back route. I don't know what Johnny did.
He went to the other stairwell, and he's the one who caught him.
I'm running up the stairwell. We're gonna catch these cats.
Yeah, what are we gonna do to some kids?
What are we gonna do when we got
them?
Yeah.
Johnny went to the east stairwell. He runs into him, and he's like, they're young kids just screwing around. They didn't trash our banners. They just, threw a few poles off the parking garage and, bored kids are going to do one thing and that's get into trouble. So Johnny's like, give us the strap back. And, that's a little moment that we'll have, between us when the pole drop, if you will. But yeah, it was funny.
Exactly. Question for you, Ronnie. At what point, on that Friday, Saturday, did you kind of have that, where the hair raises up on your arm, where it kind of felt real? It felt like, maybe it felt cool. It felt like, it's like that moment when we're building a truck and you take a step back and you look at it and it's like, wow, this is going to work. Or the first time you drive it to a show and you're rolling in and everybody's looking at you and that feeling. When did you have that feeling for this past weekend?
So I would say 2 phases. One would be when I saw 3 kick-ass rides on the golf course. I was like, okay, this is good, right? Beautiful Friday morning. The weather was just perfect that morning. And for the audience, the desert just gets a little warm in the day. The mornings and the nights are just absolutely perfect. So I come up on this golf course and I'm like, okay, this is unreal. Like there's, Brandon Ramirez's Suburban just laid out right on like the driving range part. So at that point, I kind of started getting the tingle. The absolute best beginning start of that was that night at the courthouse when we had live music playing, people drinking craft beer and just they have domestics, they have everything. And there's 7, 8 trucks in the courtyard. And then people are coming up to me or all of us really. And they're just like, dude, this is awesome. Thank you for doing this. And at that point, it kind of hits you. They're like, all right, this is coming together. And, we're on the downhill slope. We're on the downhill slide. We got to make sure that everything, and that adds to your not sleeping, is we got a big day ahead tomorrow. But that's at that point where you're like, all right, the fruits of the labor, and it's all come together at this point. And I do believe sometimes it's better to be lucky than good and things just work out, And so I think that courthouse thing and the golf, the long drives, dope rides, and it all just kind of came together, and it makes it so people are coming, you look at it and you're like, hey, if we're not a multi-day event, then you want to give them something to, we got to entertain you. You came out, we want to have fun with you. We want to enjoy that camaraderie. And that was exactly what we were able to do.
Well, speaking of that, I have beef with you.
Ooh, nice. I like beef. Let's go. Bring it.
Friday night, we've been working all day, all of us, right? Nobody harder than your wife, but we've been working all day. I'm there. It's late. The party had started at Friday. It's what, 6:00, but I'm waiting for security. It's coming at 8:00. And 7:15 is coming around. It's quiet, waiting. It's me. It's Autumn. We're kind of just doing some finished stuff. And it's like, I'm like, hey, where's Ronnie? I had a question. She goes, I don't know where Ronnie is. I'm like, where is Ronnie at? Like, he's been gone for a while. No one's seen him. It's like, okay, whatever. So I'm waiting. Finally, security comes. As I'm walking over to the courthouse, I think I see you back on the property. So I go to the courthouse just to kind of check it out. And then, and that's it. That's fine. It's over. I'm having a little bit of a good time, having an opportunity to have a beer. And then, but I got to get back. I already know. And then not until today did I realize where you were. I saw one of those videos. Your ass was having a great fucking time at the courthouse.
I got in trouble, dude. I never get in trouble. My wife is so awesome. And she's like, where are you and what are you doing? I'm like, I'm over here drinking beer. And she's like, get your ass back over here.
Oh, she said that to you?
Yeah.
I would have never. I'd have been like, stay there. I'm on my way. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. I told her because that was such a success. When I got back, I begged her to go over there because
she never did. You're right.
She loves beer. And she's like, I cannot go over there knowing the amount of work that I have. So the difference between Autumn and I, and probably, I don't know, most guys are like me, but she likes to have things done by 8:00, whatever it is. She's a very good time manager. I look at things and think, oh, sure, I'll get that done. And then that's why I don't end up getting to bed till 12:30 or 1, because I find some ability to screw off in between.
You just have to get it done in your time. And sometimes you need a little break in between to re-energize you.
Exactly.
To finish the job.
And the guys did that. So for all you guys at the courthouse Friday night, you did exactly that. You re-energized us. Sam and I and Johnny, we went back over there. We hung our banners. We didn't get killed by kids. We finished it off and went home. And I actually probably got 4 or 5 hours of sleep. But so let's talk about Saturday. Saturday we load in. We did have, it was funny. One thing about this show is I want to say kind of, at the beginning, people are like, well, how do I get on the grass? I don't know that I really want to be in the parking garage. Well, now we've got this situation where we're like, people are like, no, I want to be in the parking garage. And you're like, well, we got to put some of you guys on the grass because we only have so much room, because we double spaced everybody. We actually gave top deck guys 50 or 2.5. Speaking of that, here kicks the ADD. Top deck. Oh my God. So for the audience, that was awesome, but I didn't like it because I was the one. And Sam, I got a bone to pick with you. I got beef with you. You let me do that. You let me be the guy who has to run around on a golf cart and look at a line of trucks. And that was very stressful for a guy who, lives and breathes and eats stressful situations. I would do it again because I loved doing it. I love the result.
And you're talking about picking the winner for best paint, picking the best 60 to 66, or determining who's going to help you.
No, the records. Picking. No, I'm determining who gets the record.
Oh, just picking the top trucks. Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
So what happened?
I wouldn't have wanted that job.
Yeah, and what happened?
I didn't want that job. I already knew.
Yeah,
go ahead. Call me a dick at the front. You want to know the real dick? The guy that didn't put your truck in the top deck.
Oh my God. I felt that way so many times. And the one guy where I literally got just nailed with it right out of the gate was the guy Byron, who I think is C10 Nut on InstaWiener. He was from Idaho. He's sitting like number 1.5 in line. And he's got him and his buddy, both beautiful trucks.
Yeah.
Beautiful 63, 66. One of them was a wraparound. One of them was like a 66. So I go, dude, I don't really know what else to expect. So I can't put you in a top 55 yet. Cause this is the beginning. Like
we got hundreds of trucks coming.
Oh yeah. We've got hundreds. Now I did know probably 20 trucks that I had earmarked. Like, all right, you're going to be a top truck. I already told you you're going to be a top truck. So now I got to figure out, let's say if I had 20, I got to find 35 other trucks. Well, I don't want to give out all these records right away, these top truck records. And then I get to the end and I'm thinking, dude, how I need to find another record. I need to pull one out. I need to pull a cassette out of my ass because I'm out of records and you are a top truck. Well, so what I did is I went, and it was funny, and I'll fully disclose this to the audience just to get a kick out of the misery that I'm going through. I'm in my golf cart. I've got a little thing of records next to me and I'm going, and there were times where I literally have a record in my hand, and for the audience that has no concept of what I'm talking about, I found a bunch of old 45 records and we re-stickered them. So they're completely recycled records. They play, they work. They're just old 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s records that we found over the course of the, just last couple of weeks. And then we re-stickered the front. So one side says Reunion Top Truck, and then the back is whatever record that it was. And so I got my hand on a little 45, and I'm going to hand it to somebody. Well, there were times where I was like, oh no, you're not going to be a top truck. Like I almost have to I flashed it. They might've saw it and then I put it back. So that wasn't a very good feeling. And then the other thing that was funny was there would be people where I would give them a top. So this, I could see this happen to Sam, right? So I give you a top truck record and you're like, well, I'm with Ronnie, Johnny, and Goose. And then you're like, okay. So I would tell these guys, I'd be like, listen, Sam, do you want to be on the top deck or do you want to hang tight with your homies? And some guys are like, fuck them. I want to be on the top deck. And I'm like, okay, you're going to get a record then. And they're like, well, what about my buddies? I'm like, well, they can work on getting nicer trucks. But right now, and I'm just so blunt. I'm just like, well,
no, because
I'm just telling
point, it's like you have to be. It's like look it, I'm going to give you I got compliments on how well run it was. Which that to me is a good compliment, right? I run a business, you run a business, Ronnie. It's really important to make sure that you're running a good operation. That to me is a compliment. Well, the reason why it's run good is because you've got to have rules. You've got to be able to have boundaries. You've got to be able to say, hey, yeah, you're going there. No, sorry, you're not. And if you can't say no, then
a couple guys said they wanted to stay with their buddies. I thought that was good, but I do think it was funny. They were like, nah, I want to. And then another thing that I did is I budgeted a few extra records. And so some of those top trucks, they were in vendor booths. So they also got a record. Now they were down on the grass. They were with a vendor. One guy, he let his public service announcement, don't leave a vinyl record in your dash. One guy left it in there, and it got now because he was a top deck, the sun, he was shaded for a while because there is solar covering on the top deck. It just at some point the sun had kind of come
direct sunlight.
But top deck, we'll definitely do that again. But it is stressful because you're making decisions out of 350 to 400 trucks. You got to pick them fast, and I didn't want to run out. But that was definitely something that was kind of funny and stressful at the same time. And I don't think that I felt like when you're laughing at me thinking, oh yeah, you can do that. You want to do that? You can do it. I don't think that the human factor of making people. So then what I did too for the audience is there were, I probably at the end, I had 6 spots. I had some of the best parkers. I had G Breezy, Fresh and Easy, sometimes Sleazy, and Johnny G up there. And I gave them the task to park those top 55 trucks.
They did a great job.
I'm like, listen, this is exactly how I want to see these trucks. And they were on it. So we get to the end, we had radios. I said, hey, how many trucks do I have left? And they said, hey, we got 5 to 6 spots. So what I did is I went back through the garage, through the line.
Oh, nice.
There were some guys that I missed, or they got through, or now I could say, okay, sorry, now your truck, to put it into perspective, that's me saying your truck is number 55, 50, or 51, 52, 53, 54, 55.
Well, look, in your defense, I didn't expect so many nice trucks. I mean, look, when we do events, a lot of local guys, a lot of just cool trucks, a lot of project trucks, a lot of stuff that's OG trucks. I was surprised how many high-end show trucks guys must have, maybe it's beginning of the year, they dusted them off, they pulled them out of the garage, and they brought them.
They did.
Usually those don't show up until Dino's. They hide them all year.
Yeah, they hide them out. Well, they got them out. They dusted them off. We had some. We had some really kick-ass trucks. So.
I do that with C-. I don't bring it out until Dino's.
Yeah, well, C minus. Speaking of, that was kind of a funny situation. So the audience might not realize this, and Sam surely didn't. But when we were going around giving our awards, which I will say, I do not think I will do that again because that is a lot of work, and it is fun to reward those top people. But I think it's funner to reward the top 55 to 60 trucks or whatever. But C minus did win best square body, and rightfully so. And you weren't expecting that. And I know there's a level there where you're like, I can't do this at my own show because it looks bad, but you had no concept of it. So that was done by Mike, who was in charge of picking the best square body, along with a group of us that kind of at the end, what we were doing, we get like 6 of the guys and we're getting on a golf cart and we're looking around and we're like, okay, here's our trucks, here's our categories. What do we have? And C minus was best square body.
But that even starts with, you were saying, look, we've got 55 spots for the top deck, and you were starting to roll off trucks. And thank you. You had mine already planned to be up in the top deck, but but I was like, look, don't take up a spot for another guy's truck. I can put mine anywhere. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, it worked out good. I put mine out in the front like an advertisement, just so everybody knew they were at the right spot.
Yeah, and it blocked kind of an exit, and it got a lot of shine.
And it got, and some of these amazing photographers that were there. I got some of the best pictures of that truck sent to me, so that was awesome.
Another thing I got down, I just want to really thank him because it was such a cool gift, a genuine gift, is John Orrell. So there's going to be a ton of pictures that pop up over the next, I would say, who knows how long, but John had this idea from the get-go. Once we gave him the concept of what we were doing for the reunion, kind of that throwback, that theme, he's like, hey, do you guys mind if I make a cutout? And I'm thinking like a cardboard cutout, a printed cutout.
Yeah, right. Dino's done those before.
Yeah. And he shows up and it's a wood, it's like a 5/8 piece of wood and then more pieces
of furniture
on. Yeah. So by the way, that is in my living room right now. I'm going to have to put it. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I've got it. But either way, it was such a cool thing because it's something that we will be able to kind of carry throughout, this event. And, maybe add a little different paint on the sleeve and clean it up. And I was like, dude, I want to add a Madonna cutout next to it or something like that.
What the heck? Or let's just bring Madonna. But yeah, that was awesome. Well, look, Ronnie, I'm going to have to wrap it up and actually get back to work. I've been messing around with truck stuff here for.
Yeah, you got to get back to the real job.
Yeah, I've been messing around with truck stuff for too many days. Let me tell you.
Well, anything before we let you go, I'm going to chat a little bit about some of the awards. Is there anything that you want to throw out before we wrap it up on your end?
Well, the first thing I want to do is, I just wanted to thank everybody for supporting us, for having faith in us, for coming out. A lot of people came in and helped us, volunteers. I want to thank my family. My daughter Juliana came out and she was a major help. My wife, Rob's sister, his fiance, my sister, her husband, my cousins. Like, it's one of those events where this is a good opportunity that for close friends and family that aren't in the truck to come out and to support us, and then actually get to see what we do and why we love it. And then, by the way, little side note, if anybody saw a brand new Bronco Sasquatch that didn't belong, well, that was my compadre, that was my mentor, my daughter's godfather, that was Ernesto Salazar. And that's a fun 5-second one. It's hard to say no. He had heard I was having this car show. He's like, I'm polishing up my Bronco, I'm gonna bring it. Well, hold on, Paco. It's kind of like, okay, sure, bring it. And he brings it. So luckily, Ronnie, you were able to find a spot for it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and he was very proud. That was cool. So very Sam kind of said, hey, I think this is going to happen. We're going to have a new 2021 at our event. And I'm like, here's the deal, dude. We got under the, the pretext that, the relationship is there. It's like, there's certain people like, we don't care. We're like, bring it in. Yeah. And for the audience too, another thing to know is Fords, Dodges, Minis. I'm so stoked that they were there because it gives it a variety, and there were some really cool trucks. So you get
many trucks I haven't seen before because Yeah, I love that. Good. That turned out to be awesome. So go ahead. So that was all. I want to just thank everybody.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go through. I have a few more notes to kind of let the guys know and the girls out there in the C10 Nation know and the world know of really what we got. But yeah, tons of hard work. It kind of came all to to a close here. The reunion recap and the reunion weekend. It was it was funny. I've been texting different people and telling them I got to kind of share this while I got you. But this is homeboy Pablo, which is Russ Garage, and he takes such good care of us every year. And I was like, hey man, I just want to thank you for coming out. Here's what he says. 100%. It was a great time. You guys knocked it out of the park with that event, and then he gives a fist bump. And it's those things are just those condolences or that level of like, hey, you guys did a great job. That's it's fun to hear that. So we do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll send you off and I'll do a 5-minute wrap up and get this out to the world.
Awesome. Thanks, Ronnie.
All right, later, bro.
Bye.
All right, so you're going to be stuck with me here. Let's just go over a few other things. One thing that I did talk to Sam about that I want to do is I want to do a little retro row. So I want to start this planning now, a year in advance, if you will. Is if you've got a Mini, you've got an OBS, you've got something that's old school and it's a survivor and it's lived. Then I want to make a retro row. I was talking to Brian Val about that, and he's got an old, I think his is a 90 OBS, and it's got the old paint, the old wheels, probably 15s. If we can find those, we're going to make a little retro row. I think that would be a lot of fun. So start thinking about that, the retro row, and a little bit of a destination. And we were able to do that. We kind of made a dually drive, a dually area, a 4x4 area, and now I want to add a retro area. So a lot of little things that we're looking at. Again, with the feedback, info@reuniontruckshow.com. If you've got it, if you were there, things you saw. I have talked to the vendors, so I'm going to work real close with the vendors, and we're going to talk to them about, hey, did you like where you were? Do you want to be moved? And that's another part of the planning. Again, my wife did such a great job. My hat's, thank you, babe. She did such a good job of laying that out. But it's hard when you look at your vendors. You really want your vendors to have great foot traffic, and you want to bring the people to the vendors because the vendors are there to to support it. And without the vendors, probably not going to be able to have a show. Speaking of that, our sponsors, LMC, title sponsor LMC, thank you so much. Talk about when Sam alluded to the people trusted us to put this together. How about these sponsors? We reach out to them like, okay, you know who we are. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it big and we're going to do it right. LMC jumped on board right away, title sponsor, and then our sub-sponsors, or I should say our co-sponsor, sounds better, but is going to be Acura and US Mags. So I appreciate those guys getting behind us and really supporting the reunion 2022. What a success. I will post, I am already doing this on the IG, the show winners. So we had, I think it was 15 total categories. Super cool. I was able to get these old trophies. I got one from 1960. There's one from 62, 63, a 73. So that one was, I gave that one, or that one was the square body one. And I didn't know at the time that was going to go to Sam, but the 73, obviously. So I tried to kind of look at the years, and so cool. I think the one that was best of show is actually from the 50s. I mean, it's such like an old antique trophy. So, and it just turned out really well. So I'm going to post those up on the IG. So if you guys aren't following that, it's going to be _reunion. Yeah. At _reunion. And then there's a 10 in there for the reunion, but pull it up and you guys can, C10 Talk will have it as well. So there'll be plenty of, social on that, and you can check it out. Congratulations. We had best 59 and older, best 60 to 66, best 67 to 72, best 73 and 87, best OBS. By the way, if you won the best OBS, who are you? Because I don't really know. I know Mark Oya picked it. The guy wasn't there. The kid came up. I don't have an IG on that guy. I'd love to figure that one out. Best Mini, best 4x4, which is a retro rad Toyota, Shane Orlando, his son's truck. It was badass. So I did post that one up. Best Ford, best Dodge, best patina, best paint. Longest long haul award. That went to Dirty Sanchez, Israel, and Sarah. Make sure I say her name right. I always mess it up. Sarah. And they came out from Texas, 1,200, I think, a round trip, almost 2,400 miles. So they drove their shit and they made it out. So awesome. So they got the long haul award. I'm going to add some money to that award next year. So I think we will continue to give that. I think we need to add a couple $100 to that because, fuel ain't cheap. The Chandler, the local kids. So there's a local Chandler Auto Club. We had them do their pick. So they had an award, best of show and best SUV. So tons going on. There's going to be a lot of media that comes out. I know some of the magazines were covering the show. I think we've got CK, obviously Classic Truck Performance, CTP came out. So thank you guys for that. And then Fuel Curve, Terry's covering that for there. So pretty bitching to get some love from that. So that's about it. I'm just looking at my notes. I think that's it. I think it's a recap, the reunion recap. Usually I would do a pod, right? So then now I'm the guy that's hosting it and running around crazy and just doing what I do. And so I didn't get a chance to do pod and interview guests that came out. But someday maybe I will. It depends on the load. I just would feel bad because so many people are working so hard. And then if I was doing that, so I do think it's important. Maybe I'll find somebody else to substitute for me while for the reunion. And that's an idea to have, but we do want your feedback. Again, info@reuniontruckshow.com. And then any gear that we have left over, I think we're going to push it out, promote it. It's be on sale. So check that. If you want we do have some of the sizes in the reunion shirt, which was the shirt you got if you were registered. Because when we ordered a few extras. So there are going to be a limited amount of reunion shirts. That's kind of the retro vibe with that kind of sunglass on it. No trucks, black shirt, lots of color popping. The reunion shirt, some of those will be available. And then our classic style truck event shirt, which is Dino's OBS. And then the 76 Sport on there in the parking garage in the back. Harris Artwork did that for us. Casey, thank you. Love the shirt. Love the design. We have some of those available as well. So those will be off. I think there's a coupon code and we'll reduce the price on those because we don't want them sitting around. The show's over. If you guys want some cool swag, if you didn't get a shirt, now's your opportunity. You were busy that day. You were talking to people, drinking beer, hanging out, doing what you do. And you didn't get a chance to buy a shirt. Here's your opportunity. trucktalkmedia.com is where you can buy all that stuff. trucktalkmedia.com, C10 Talk. It all goes to the same place. I think reuniontruckshow.com. So many different places to go. I'll link it up, but obviously throughout the IG and the social media, you can get a hold of us and we can get you some gear, some stickers, whatever it is that you might need. All right. So again, thank you to all the volunteers. They helped out so much. We would have never been able to do it. Thank you for everybody who attended. We don't take it lightly that you're spending your hard-earned money, your time away from your family, and you're coming out to hang with the people. So we appreciate it. Sammy, I know he's gone, but thanks for taking time to sit down and kind of do this. And ultimately the MVP for this event, I'll tell you right now, is my wife. She actually kind of found herself from the perspective of a coordination and a coordinator. She had a lot of fun. She tells me she's having fun. So at that point, let the horse run. And she did that. And I think, again, I'm proud of her because of the work that she put in. And so many people commented that she was the MVP and that they would not even be able to, different things from the vendors having situations to some of the different people that, did you get registered? Did you not get registered? And she was able to help with that. So thanks, babe. Appreciate it. That's it. Enough of us rappling. We're going to take you out. Again, thank you. If you weren't able to make it to the reunion 2023, we'll see what happens. All right, guys, have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. Late.